Hi, so we're TME Brand Marketing. I'm Alyssa, and this is Jennifer. Little fun fact, we have a team of 3 right now. We are adding a new person, but there's Alyssa, Melissa, Jennifer. Yeah, exactly. Melissa. Yes. So we lovingly refer to our Melissas as 1.0 and 2.0, and they're both equally pointed. But that's
we have an Emily now too.
Yes, we do have an Emily. Emily is our admin person. So that is our boundary that Janessa was talking about. Emily now covers our emails. So if you email us, you'll talk to Emily, who pretends to be us sometimes. Okay, so
DJ says we got to move over.
Oh, like where? Right here?
Thanks, DJ.
Yeah.
I'll stand here. You stand there.
Okay.
Okay, so we are going to talk about how you can build your practice online. That also makes your everything eye-catching, appealing, and gives Google big thumbs up. So you can get that one.
All right, so what makes you different from other entrepreneurs and businesses? It's that you have always avoided being online. So this is very fresh to your industry. Unless you're a lawyer,
But I want to do a poll. How many of you have avoided being online or don't have your own website? Okay.
social media.
I know, right? Yeah. Okay. How many of you don't have a website? Okay. One of you answer why.
So I work at an agency.
Okay.
We're going to talk about personal branding and how that can benefit both your grouurt practice and your agency.
Yes. Okay, another person. Why do you not have a website?
No clients. But that's
We're
probably
gonna-
Okay. All right, we'll do one more. One more. Why do you not have a website?
Psychology Today. Because I don't know how to build it.
Psychology Today is a great resource that you can ping with your website to boost you in Google results.
Okay, so another thing that we've heard a lot of pain points of why I don't have a website, which we call it a pain point because it's painful to us.
Somebody here said something. I think I don't know if you guys heard. What was on this side? Somebody said.
Oh, she's in
I don't
a
know how to
group.
build it.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's another one.
That's why I go to them.
We'll cover that too. Is a lot of therapists either I love you, my mother's age, or a little bit around there. They're
I don't will.
yes, their mindset along for when I was growing up, it was if you are online, it gets a little smarmy. It's kind of like being in the yellow pages. So yeah, so the mindset, like Janessa was talking about, that's going to get real confusing, is shifting. Everything shifts, and now we're in the digital age. We're beyond knee deep in it, and so if you don't have a website, you gotta step it up. Okay, next one, go for it.
We already talked about how you didn't go to school to build a business. We talked about how you guys have ethical issues with what kind of content to produce and how to build a relationship with clients ethically before they even come into your office. And of course, we've already talked about you guys have large caseloads. Some of you guys are already seeing 20 plus clients a week, and you do not have the time for this.
Or the bandwidth for it. So yeah, this is us. A little about us. We do. She's been in marketing for 15 years. I have not. I have done a lot of several things. But
Speaking of niches, we do serve therapists and group practices, but to be clear, we also have clients in the construction industry, the manufacturing industry. We have small businesses, yoga studios. We have men. TME comes from the mom empire because we connected work from home moms who were good at marketing with local businesses to get affordable work. And so we got a lot of men clients who love the mom empire. Mommy issues? I don't know. But
you guys tell us that later.
but it's another example of how you can choose a niche in ICA and still accept other clients while talking very clearly to therapists when we don't serve.
And I will
just
tell
them.
you guys that we resisted the further niching for a long time. Yes, we did until Janessa beat us down, and we did it, and it has been incredibly successful. So like, I know it sounds like I'm pigeonholing myself and I'm not going to get clients, but it's really untrue because it may be an untapped market that you just don't really realize is untapped. Okay, so
where we're going with this presentation, we're going to teach you how to build your practice online in a way that is most beneficial for your time, your money, and your resources. So we're talking about 3 main points: web design, social media, and Google ranking.
Raise your hand if you know what your Google ranking is.
0.
Yay! We don't want to celebrate that. All
I
right.
do know that.
Do you know what your review score is? Or
Actually, Google has a score for every single website and online presence. Most therapists rank about 12, which is very, very
Out of
low.
100.
But that means that if you are better at being online than other therapists, you can beat them, which is why we want you online. We want everything connected together, and we want you to be higher than your competition. So with beating a 12, and I'm assuming with everybody being very skilled at what they do, you're all high achievers that have always made A's, B's, A pluses, that you want to beat that score. So yeah, we'll talk about that.
Okay, so let's look at some facts. These are very interesting. These are all we have 3 slides of facts, so this one will be specifically websites. So 38% of users will not engage with a website if its layout is unattractive. How many of you have a website that was built in the early 2000s?
How many of you miss MySpace? Just me.
A little bit.
I have a different question. How many people's websites, if you have one, look like a Word document? I see that a lot.
That's a good one too.
Yeah. So that's a big thing, especially if you have a website and maybe you have let it go for years upon end and it's just kind of collecting dust, virtual dust. Okay, so 61% say that they don't want to find what they're looking for. If they don't find what they're looking for within 5 seconds, they'll go to another site. Ouch, that's painful. That really sucks. Yes.
Sorry. I did an interview podcast episode with Christine Brunelli. She's an image consultant, and so we don't like to think people judge a book by its cover. We have 3 seconds to make a first impression. 3.
On your website.
In general.
In general.
So you're saying within
5.
how long?
About
within
5.
5 seconds. If people don't like what your website looks like, however qualified you are, even if you went to Harvard, they're moving on to the next person.
Now, we do think that that number is a little filtered. The people that you work with aren't goldfish. But if you're not talking to the right people, that 3% reaction to your image is truthful. But if you're being very specific and it shows up front, then that's how you're retaining clients.
Okay, and then last one, 88% of online users won't return to a site after a bad experience. Can somebody tell me a bad web experience they've had? Go for it.
What you're looking for.
Yes.
In the first, couple seconds? Yeah? Okay, what else?
If it's not fast enough, it's like having a landline. I'm like, nope, next.
Okay, one more. I know you guys have had bad website experience.
I had bad scheduling for my own therapist, and it was like in the wrong time zone and things.
Oh
and I
no,
was like,
that's awful.
Functionality.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
functionality. All right, so these are all really great things that we're going to talk about. Yay. So some more importance about your website. It's going to give you credibility, validity. Thank you. And professionalism. It's also going to give you the expertise in your field. Again, when you niche and you are out there. And then obviously it gives you greater visibility and in return can give you more clients, leads, whatever you want to call it. And it gives you the platform to be the expert, I just said that, to speak directly to the people you want to work with. But again, you need to figure out with Janessa maybe or just on your own who your ICA is so you can talk and build your website specifically for that person. Okay, go for it.
Okay, so this is what we're talking about. This is the good stuff. How to make it better than your competition. Anybody can put up a website. You can go on Squarespace, Wix, hire somebody, go to Fiverr.
Weebly, you pick.
Yeah, it's already saturated. We already talked about general practitioner versus a specialty. So the way you can make it better than your competition to keep people on your website, clear and concise branding. That means you look like a real company. Your colors are not blue and green over here, purple and yellow over here, and you have one font. You don't look like somebody just put things on a poster board for a school project. This is very clean, very concise, and it's consistent all the way through. It sounds goofy, but if you have headlines, one font on this page and a different font on the other page, Miss Advertiser right there, newspaper, then people will innately not trust you. It's a visibility thing, a mind connection thing. It's important.
Do you want me to do that one? Okay.
Sure.
Engaging homepages speaks to your ICA. So we did kind of talk about this, but we're going to do a little bit deeper dive because if you have a website and your ICA is, let's say you do children and behavioral therapy with children, and your hero image on your website is a woman walking down a path to the beach. That's confusing. And then they go down to the next paragraph and you're talking about little kids and how sometimes little kids bite other little kids and you can help maybe get to the root of that issue. But they're like, why do you have a woman walking on a beach? what's going on? Who are you actually talking to? Are you talking to the mom? Or are you talking to the kid? Or are you talking to both? So you need to do that. And like I've said, think about the worst website you've seen, and did it make you cringe, and why? And it might have been because they're not talking to who they want to, or their clear and concise branding is not clear and concise. Oh, specialties. All right, you guys have a lot of specialties. You're therapists. You can cover a vast range. We're not even talking about the EMDR stuff that you guys can, what are those called? The extras, like, I'm just gonna call those the certifications, thank you, that you can do. So yes, you have certifications, maybe you don't, maybe you're just getting started. You still have specialties. Think about the trauma that Janessa was talking about, but what kind of trauma? Do you do PTSD for people coming back from Afghanistan or the war? Or are you doing first responders who maybe have trauma from their day-to-day life? So that would be your specialty. You would have, we usually tell you to pick 3, and those are gonna go on your homepage, and that's gonna be what you want. Those are the spots on your schedule you want to fill.
So I'm country, and this is how I explained it to my husband, who is very country. If you go bass fishing, are you using regular worms or are you using bass bait?
We don't know the answer to that, so.
I don't actually fish. That's not the point. If you go catfish fishing, are you sticking your arm in? I don't know how it actually works. But the point of this being, you don't use general bait. You use the real stuff to get what you want.
Yeah, so like,
specialties to get the people who you most want to work with, whether it's children, whether it is couples therapy, specific trauma-related events, addiction, exactly.
we just had a client that
wording,
wanted
images, everything.
She wanted her professional consulting and like supervision to be front and center. So like, you know, you can pick. It doesn't have to be therapy, like anxiety and stuff. It could be your looking for no, you're not looking for interns, you're looking for clinical supervision, sorry. But yes, you want to pick 3, and they want to be you want them to be front and center. And again, this will not pigeonhole you. I cannot state that enough. Like, it will not. I promise you. It feels like it is kind of at the first, but it's not. The last and most important thing you need.
This is comical. Do you know how many websites we see where your location and your phone number and your contact method is not on the website? There was somebody in Chicago that we worked with that she only met people in her office, and her location was nowhere on her website at all. Yeah. Like, it was very confusing.
So, and that sounds like a really, like, duh, I need that on my website, but it's very common for that not to be seen. And the other thing I will add to that is if you're going to add, like, contact forms, check them. Make sure that they go somewhere and that you're getting the notifications. We had an issue on our own website for, like, 2 years that we finally figured out the issue when we migrated it out of the thing, that they were just like getting lost on the interweb in this back end spot on the back end of our website. So like
5 clients.
Yeah, we had like 5 clients in there. And so you just want to make sure that you have it and that it's working. Your fees, you can talk about that because I'm on the fence on that
Can
one.
I say something about the location though?
Absolutely.
I do think sometimes if you're talking about a location of an office, a physical office, you also may have some considerations with security.
We're gonna, yes, true. But if we're talking in terms of beating out your competition and being seen online, even in a telehealth business, you need a hub. And that is because you are trying to compete in one area versus the entire United States. So even if you're licensed in Florida, Kentucky, New Jersey, you are based out of Nashville, Tennessee, and you serve these people, and that's where people are searching for you. And it's important.
And if you are telehealth, you're not putting your physical home address. You are putting a general, maybe you get a P.O. box just to kind of give you like.
Well, Google doesn't take P.O. boxes,
And
but.
Google's looking for where you are hubbed, right? And most people, if you think about it, like you put a restaurant, you're like, I need a restaurant near me. If you have near me, people are putting in, and you're not populating there, you're missing business. And I'm happy to talk about.
Yes. Yeah, so fees, that's again, Janessa can talk about that
so
too.
So there's a Surprise Act that tells you that you need to be upfront with your fees. So we're seeing, I can't speak legally or very intuitively about this. What we're seeing on the web design end is more and more therapists are requesting that one, you have the wording of the Surprise Act underneath your form or somewhere on your page, and that you do list your fees up front. One, it gives people a sense of what they can expect, thank you. And 2, it kind of completes the whole visibility thing of what you charge.
10 seconds. Please be transparent with your fees. Don't let people guess. If they're not fit for you, don't try to pitch them. Just have it on there. have integrity, and that's part of that. That's your fee. Be confident, be proud, put it up. If it's not for them, they can skip on by.
Yeah, the other thing I will say about that is if you are specializing in anybody like millennial and under, they will not call you to get your fee. They want to see it on your website.
Gen
So-
Z too. And
Yeah, millennial and under.
got it.
Just, no, we're not going to mention those Gen Zers.
And it lessens the phone calls you get. You don't want your phone ringing all day like, how much you charge, how much you charge.
Right, that's a waste of your time to take that.
That's something that has to be on your website. You guys, anything that you are getting calls about should be on your website already under a fact section.
All right, any questions on websites before we go to social media? The big bad monster of social media. No? All right, wow,
Other
y'all.
than they're gonna get one and sign one up right away. 'cause they
Yes.
use websites.
All right, so let's do a little poll. How many of you have a business social media account? Yikes. That one was, I was expecting that. Okay, why do you not have one?
Because we're taught not to be human or be present or be personal. So no pictures, no family. Are you married? Do you have kids? Nothing.
You
Okay.
said part of an agency.
Oh yeah, I don't own a business.
Yeah.
So I don't have a business social media.
Does your business have a Facebook and social media?
Yes.
Okay.
Lots of social media presence.
Okay.
Would your business
No time.
benefit from you having social media that set yourself up as an expert and funneled clients into the business that you worked for? Would they maybe even give you a raise?
They would not give me a raise. No, actually, there's that's strong no, long
On
story.
all of it,
A
sure.
strong sorry. Different situation.
So we have different cases of where group practices, again, you work for agencies, a little different, would benefit from you having your own social media set up as a business to bring clients in who want to work with you. That benefits you, that benefits them. And then you have people in private practice that have your own social media and you're deciding whether or not to post as yourselves as a real person or as your business. And we're going to talk about that.
Okay, so this first one is the most cringiest thing I've ever, I didn't write it, Jennifer wrote it. So I'm going to blame her.
I maintain.
Yeah.
Stand by it.
So it is, you can just, I can't even just say that. It gives it's like dating. They can go there and check out your profile and figure out your vibes from there, which again, it's,
So here's how you get around the cringe. It's the know, like, and trust factor. So they get to know you, decided they like you, and decided they're gonna trust you.
yes. And then again, speaking to millennials and under, if you are not on social media, they use that a lot to search for things. They may go to your website, yes, but they will also probably look up like a little more of a personal side of you, because again, you are talking to them about very personal issues that might be going on in their lives. You are a human being, and you're not just talking to a robot, and you don't
This
want to be
goes-
untouchable to them. You
This
want
goes
to
back
be
to like Raquel and what she's talking about. She, even though you don't know her name, she is saying, you are burnt out, you are tired, and I feel you. What you need is to do tip A, tip B, tip C. A, B, C, yeah. And like that's all you put is tips for that person, and then whoever is looking at it will vibe and determine like this is, she gets it, she understands me. And you never even talk to them. They didn't call you. You didn't read an email from them.
So social media gives you a space to talk about, I should have put like air quotes on the real issues, because you're not going to talk about your client struggles because that's illegal and you will straight to jail. But you can kind of generalize those pain points. Okay, I've seen 8 clients today that have talked about how burnt out they are with working in the school system. You got a social media like month right there. And you can branch out from that. It doesn't have to be specific to elementary school. Maybe it's they're working with special ed kids that need, a lot more one-on-one stuff, and that, it's just, there's so much. So you have to kind of take the blinders off and realize that I've been seeing a lot of the same things. How can I reach more people to kind of help them with those same issues? If those are the clients you want to see. If you're getting a lot of issues and you're really tired of those issues, you might need to change some things up on your social media and your website.
And
We'll
to
talk about that.
clarify,
So-
sorry to keep interrupting you guys. Social media, the only reason I have social media, the only reason I have Facebook is for my business. I'm not posting pictures of my kids. I'm not posting pictures of my outfit of the day. It's not like that. It is so people can see the difference. I'm like, oh, I'm balancing my schedule with a vacation. Or, hey, I'm hosting this event for other therapists. Like, it is solely for business.
Yes, and it should be. Like, we'll talk about that too in just a minute, but
I want to be really clear on one thing real fast. When we talk about having a social media presence that links to your website, we are talking about having your expertise online, so when people search for you, they can find more content on you. It gives credibility to your business. What I'm not talking about is building followers to the extent that you seem like that you're trying to win a popularity contest. You don't need to. You need to have your expertise online. You need to speak to your client, and you need to show that you put in the effort of being online. You do not have to have 3,000 followers unless you are writing book, getting speaking engagement, coaching your courses. That's a whole different conversation that we can have with you. All you need is to show up.
Yeah, you're building a professional presence. You're not becoming the next influencer. Okay, so how many of you have said this?
I feel like this has been their
Okay.
faces like for the past
Yeah. So social media can be very painful, especially if you just don't know how to do it and you don't have the time. How many of you don't have the time for social media? Awesome.
How many of you don't make the time?
Yeah. There we go. Oh, look at all these questions. All right, so some of these are that is honestly our number one is time, and number two is they don't know what to post. Because again, it's becoming more mainstream to post on social media, so it's a learning curve, especially if your blinders are on towards the digital space for therapists in general. It's very hard to take those off, and that's where we can come in and help. And then the last one, you don't want to put yourself out there. How many of you want to be on video every day doing a reel? That sounds miserable, right? That's not what we're talking about, promise. All right, so facts about social media. 32% of social media users follow therapists and mental health professionals for valuable insights. Wow, that's a lot of people, right? 52% have been friend requested by clients on social media. We don't want that. So you want to deter that. 81% of people between 30 to 49 actively use at least one social media site. And that, honestly, social media sites aren't just Instagram and Facebook. It's TikTok, it's LinkedIn, it's, I feel like there's another one that's YouTube. YouTube is still out there, even though it's a mainstream. It's one of the biggest search engines you can use besides Google. So, yes.
So is your ICA between the ages of 30 and 49? Right?
So we'll talk about this in a second, but you don't need to choose every single platform for your business. If you are serving Gen Z, then maybe be on TikTok and make that your dedication. If you are serving corporate women from burnout, you need to be on LinkedIn. Incidentally, LinkedIn's very, very good for Google. If you are serving anxious women, couples, women, Instagram and Pinterest. So,
Oh yeah, Pinterest.
yeah, it used to be that people would say claim as many profiles as you can, which is cool, but only do the ones that you are going to be consistent and maintain.
Okay, so what to post? This goes back to this, your ICA. We talk about that a lot because if you don't know who to talk to, you're just gonna post it's like radio static. You're just posting radio static. And it's gonna be very difficult for you to come up with content because again, you're just kind of, well, let me post this quote by Muhammad Ali or whatever because it's sort of relevant for something I do occasionally in my practice. That's not helpful. It's also not valuable. So you also need to watch trends. This first line I know can be a little cringy, that short video is still trending very high. Like short video is the way to go, but it's not the only thing you should be posting because that's aggressive and annoying. And then choose reoccurring content. So specialty topics, this could be talking about, like, there are so many benefits of EMDR. So maybe you do an EMDR tip every other week. And but it's just one point of how EMDR can help. And maybe you're talking to that ICA and you get somebody else who's like, I've never heard of EMDR. Let me go back and see what else they're talking about. And then you have this cute little EMDR thing all over there. Q&A, these are great. A lot of people who are seeking therapy have questions. I know that you guys get questions. So think about some of those questions and then try and answer them. Or at least put have you ever thought about going to therapy? It's pretty general. Don't start with that one. Have you ever thought about going to couples therapy for this issue? That's a better question. Community highlights.
How to recover from your relationship when there's been infidelity.
Yeah, so community highlights, that would be more like, trying to think of a good example of that one.
So that is when maybe you're working at a coffee shop and you just want to geotag the coffee shop in order to get in front of more people in your location. It could also be if you do walk and talks on the beach. Obviously, we don't have a beach here, but we have clients that do that. They take pictures of the waves and talk kind of about the differences in doing a conversation outside versus the office. So
But it could also be like, hey, my friend down in Nashville is hosting a group for Al-Anon. Like maybe that's for you. It's just kind of bringing awareness and giving you that expertise that you know what's going on in your community.
Or that you just care.
Yeah, and you care. Behind the scenes and office photos, these are amazing because this, not if you're telehealth. Behind the scenes are fine if you're telehealth, but office photos, those need to be on your website as well because people want to see what they're going to walk into. They don't want to be blindsided and walking into a dungeon office. I'm really sorry if you work in a dungeon office. That's just maybe where your budget's at for that time. But post pictures about it so it's not so jarring to somebody walking in for the first time. Because again, it may be somebody who's never, ever thought about approaching therapy, and that could be like the make or break point for them. Personal photos, we do not mean you need to post your children or your dog or whatever. Unless you are a dog with
People
a
love dogs.
therapist with a dog, then that can be incorporated into your brand. What we're talking about as personal photos is like
You working at your laptop. You out and about.
yeah, stuff like that. Like it's not it's business, personal,
If
professional.
you do deal with family therapy and you are comfortable posting pictures of your kids and family online, that might be appropriate to talk about relationships. If you have a dog in the office and want to post the office dog, that's appropriate and how animals can be. But you don't just want to be talking about how you sprained your ankle doing something silly when that doesn't pertain to anything that you have to do. So whatever you post online, even when it's personal, has to be intentional to who you're speaking to.
Okay, consistency. Oh, the dreaded consistency. This is honestly where people lose it. It's because it is really hard to continue to make things. So I'm going to go back to this slide, and I want you guys to read this last sentence where it says, make one template for each and use over and over again. Do that, because it makes your life a lot easier. Because then
We talked about Canva a little while ago in our conversation. One template for a Q&A. It has a question. The next slide is the answer. Use that once a week. That's one post. Do a personal photo. Go ahead and get like a group of 10 and have it scheduled out for the week.
And I know that sounds like, oh, it's so boring to keep designing that. Number one, it's going to save you time. And number two, when that person sees your EMDR tip of the month or whatever, they can find the next one back, however long ago the last one was, much faster if it looks the same. Even if it's a slightly different color or something, it's still the same layout. All right, so consistency. Making sure you're posting regularly and not once a month. That doesn't count. If you're posting once a month, it's just you're talking to no one.
We say twice a week minimum.
Yeah, with valuable and branded content. So again, you want to think about what somebody's going to get out of reading your post. What have you gotten out of reading another therapist's post? Think about that. And then create batch content. So that's what we're talking about. You're going to set a time at the beginning of your month. Okay, let's say it's April, what is today? The 6th? April 6th. Okay, April 7th, it's a Sunday. I'm going to spend 1 hour and make a month of content. Yikes, that sounds like a lot. It's not 30 posts. You're doing 2 posts a week. That's 8 posts. Can you handle that? That's an hour.
Janessa creates all her YouTube videos for her YouTube channel the day she gets her hair done.
Yep, I batch record.
Batch record.
Batch record. And we also mean that doesn't mean if you're out and about and you think of a good social media idea, you can't do it. But maybe that goes on your list on your phone that you can go back to and say, this would be a great post. And you can come back on your Sunday, the 7th, and make it.
Does anybody meal plan for their families to make it easier for the week? Anybody think about meal planning like they're gonna make it easier for their family? Yeah, same thing.
And it's all about you don't have the time, you need to make the time. Because again, we'll talk about this on the next chunk. Everything funnels back to your website. Your website is your tree trunk and your main tree. All of these other things are your branches that funnel back to the trunk of your tree. So you need them. They're necessary evils, unfortunately. And then timing and placement, you're gonna have to talk about that one because you wrote that. Timing and placement depends on
and the batch content, you don't have to leave it there. You can on your phone so you can post whenever you want, but there are schedulers, Buffer, Planoly, Social Curator, things that you can schedule all of this out one time and it'll run for the month. It'll push it out for you and you only have to think of it that one day. So we're trying to get that just as concise as possible for you guys.
timing and placement.
I already talked about this, the timing and placement of the ICA. Again, like if you're Gen Z, you don't need to be on LinkedIn unless you just want to take up more space. Get on TikTok. I don't fully understand Snapchat. Maybe that's your thing.
No.
Corporate, LinkedIn, probably Instagram too. Mother's Pinterest, Instagram, and YouTube, of course, is one of the largest search engines, and we'll talk about that.
And this last sentence is super important. You do not have to be on every platform to make it worth your while. Pick. Please pick. Don't try and do all of them. All right, showing up. Sorry, I keep hitting this mic. That's going to be some weird feedback on that. Don't be overly authentic. Okay, so you can talk about this one in a minute because it can happen. You have boundaries in your practice. You have to have boundaries. And if you don't, please set them. Set those boundaries. They're going to look a little bit different, but set them for your social media. Because if you don't have boundaries, you're not going to know what to post, or you're going to post something that maybe isn't on professional level. And it can happen. Those can be deleted. That's okay. But set your boundaries for your social media, especially in terms of your legalities and just general professionalism. Like, you're not going to record a session and put it out there. That's a really big no-no, obviously. But you don't even want to write down a note and put it out there. Like that, again, big no-no. So you want to make sure that you have those boundaries and you understand them. And if you don't, ask us questions. We're here to help.
So when we say don't be overly authentic, when everybody in the world is telling you to show your shining personality, show your true self online and be authentic, what we mean is if you go for a manicure and one of your expertise is self-care, post it. If you are feeling down on yourself and have broken nails and you're posting, I should get a manicure, and it doesn't serve anybody, don't. So authenticity as far as when it benefits the clients that you want to work with.
Okay, so you can create reels without your face. Did anybody know that? How many of y'all watch TikTok and reels that don't have your face, have the person's face? A lot. They're very aesthetically pleasing sometimes. So think about those.
I do a lot of paintbrushes, in the swirls, and they have text
I like the when people reset their home videos. Those are good. Anyways, what we're talking about are maybe office tours behind the scenes. Maybe it is just you cleaning your office, dusting it, something that's very relaxing or whatever. Think about what you can do that maybe isn't your face, because honestly, if you are doing your face constantly, you're going to burn out your audience. We get it. We know what you look like. And another big one we're still seeing a lot of right now is just a background video. So maybe it's a beach. Janessa posts a lot of beaches with text over the front. Those are very nice. And you can either take the audio out or you can put trending audio. You can keep the audio or you can put trending audio over them, which we don't really talk about, but we can do. These are just some ideas of some things you can do that aren't your face. And then invest in professional photography. How many of you have selfies on your social media?
I cannot tell you enough how many people have sent us headshots for their profiles and their website inside a car with a lot of cleavage with phone up here. And they look good. Let me tell you, they look good. They don't look appropriate, but they look good.
These are therapists.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Or they don't have time. They don't have time to go get a professionally branded headshot. So they send one, maybe they set up their phone into a cute one at their desk, and you can see they're up there. Yeah, sure. So set up the time. Honestly, if you don't know what you should wear or do any of that, we can help you. We have somebody that does that as her job. But make yourself pretty. Figure out your best, most confident outfits, however many photos you want to do, and find a good photographer, somebody who's going to make you feel good. It does not have to be a Sears photo shoot with a backdrop. It can be in your town. Use your local historic buildings, because we live in Tennessee. There's a lot of Old South buildings.
I love those walking across the street.
Yeah. And then think about things that you've seen on social media. Maybe it's somebody typing and you want to have a picture of you sitting at a computer or your laptop pretending to work. You're probably not really working, but they look nice. So that's what we're talking about. Just invest in your business and yourself, because you're going to get the photos back and they're going to be professionally edited. Again, don't find the airbrushed ones that are just glamour shots. Find a good photographer who's going to make you feel confident and make you look good.
And then you will be more likely to show up
when you have the content. Okay. Oh, yay, Google ranking. So, importance of Google ranking.
Does anybody have any questions or comments on the social media?
I had a question. You guys said it's not super important to have a lot of followers. So is the goal of posting just so when people look you up, they see that you're active?
There's a couple different goals. One, which we're going to talk about with Google ranking, is Google likes this triangulation of links. And when you have multi-sources, websites, social media, blogs, resources, whatever it is linked together, you're going to gain higher authority than your competition. So you'll show up on Google more. That's one. Two is that most likely people will jump from your website, and if they don't contact you right away, they're going to go to your social media to confirm that what you do or what you say on your website is really what you do. So it does add validity to your business. Now, followers are the next thing people do look at, so I get their importance, but as time and money investment for therapists, it usually doesn't matter as much as investing in your Psychology Today and your website as in pulling in leads. I would say it's important to have it, but the follower growth is not your number one, put your money into it kind of thing.
And what happens a lot of times is if you were to, please don't do this, pay for followers, your likes are going to be in the toilet because you're going to have,
Not your ICA, they're not gonna
yeah, you're going to have 5,000 followers, but you're going to have maybe a like on every post. So not that you want the likes, that's not your validation, but what I'm saying is you want followers who are valuable to you and who get value out of your content. You don't just want a follower.
So when we look at your hashtags for social media, even though they're good for gaining followers, we're looking more at your location and your topics for getting you to show up to the people searching for you. Now, we do have ways to grow your following, but again, money-wise, it's for people who are looking to build their personal brand and their platform up to an extent that they can sell later. So if you're looking at like writing a book in a year, you might want to build up your following so that you have people to sell your book to, your course, your coaching, your groups maybe. So that's when we say that would be important.
It's definitely like specific on, yeah. I think there was another question.
Isn't there like a statistic like they have to see you like 8 times before it registers for
Yeah,
them
I
to
think
remember?
3 touch points. Yeah, so ideally if you can get all your sources to align in Google when they search, that would be great.
We're still talking about social media.
Of like how many times they see your name and your logo. Like it takes a certain amount of time.
I mean, yeah, you
Seven.
can expect that they would
7
be
times.
following you on your feed for a while before they actually contact you. Yeah.
Oh, going back to video, the guy in the back, if you guys need video, he's your dude, obviously, but he's also a therapist like you guys, and then he has been doing the digital space for a long time. So it's, it's worth it to kind of invest in that, and it's not a full-time investment, it's an investment maybe a couple times every couple years.
Only one other comment about the follower growth is if you have a very specific competitor with a very specific niche that you're trying to beat out and they have more followers than you and they're cannibalizing your business, at that point you may focus on those growth goals.
But business cannibals. Anyways, yes, you had a question about social media?
If you get to this, I apologize for going ahead, but you've mentioned Psychology Today a few times. I've had that for almost 3 years, and I just ended it because. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we also, so that is something that we do. I will talk to you guys about some of the things that we do just as a side note. So big things that we do for therapists right now are website audits. So we go in and look at your website front and back and tell you what's wrong. And then we look at your social media and tell you what's wrong. And then we look at your Psychology Today and tell you what's wrong. But we give you suggestions.
And what's right.
And what's right, yes.
Positivity. We will say on Psychology Today, what we're looking for is that you're talking to somebody specific, that your location is listed, that you have video. That performs way better if you have the introduction video on Psychology Today, and that you don't have any image or logo placements that have such a higher margin that it looks like your profile ends when really like the rest of it's down there, which weirdly we see a lot. So there's little issues like that. We're also looking at triangulating it with your website and your social media so that when people do search for a psychologist in Nashville, that for the specialty, that your Psychology Today would be above theirs because you're using the appropriate words.
And another thing is just like a little professional tip when you're going through your Psychology Today, because I know you all are going to run home and clean this up. Your first 2 paragraphs should talk to your client without professional jargon. So take out the big words like, I am a licensed clinical social worker who works in the modalities of blah, blah, blah. You've lost me. I don't speak your language. So don't speak that language and expect them to understand what you're talking about. Talk to them like a person.
Are you trying to figure out whether you have dysregulated cortisol levels or anxiety? I'm here to answer your questions, and this is why.
Well, that might be the nurse practitioner back there, but yes, you get what we're saying.
And every time you make a change on Psychology Today, you move up to the top. So if you don't make change for a while, you stay way down at the bottom.
And every time you link with somebody, it makes you up.
Okay, cool. Any more questions for social media?
Yeah, just like LinkedIn, if you have people validate your profile, you're hiring search results too, as well as testimonials.
Okay, so Google, yay, big Google. Go for it. This is her baby.
I love Google.
And this TV.
Okay. We already know most online searches begin on Google. That's why we're talking. That's why we need all this stuff. So if you can show up organically on Google, the cost for advertising your practice and the effort that you put into your social media goes way down, which means you can pay people better. You can pay yourself better. You're not putting it in just to grow your practice. So the end goal is to show up on Google through these methods so that you can, in the long run, pay less on it. It also gives your practice validity. I think we're going to show statistics in a second, but if you're not on the front fold of page 1 of Google, it's very unlikely that people are going to see you.
We can help you get there.
Yeah.
All right, facts about Google. 92% of global traffic comes from Google. If you didn't know that, I don't know what rock you've been living under. Okay, so this was actually 0.05, and I couldn't make the little bubble go that way. So less than 1% of searchers click on the second page of Google results. Ouch, that really sucks. And then blogs increase your chance of ranking on Google over 100%.
The number is actually 400%, but again, our percentages only went up to 100. And we're going to talk about why blogs do this, and it's very interesting to me, maybe not you.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, so the phases of Google. So I call them the Google creepy crawlies. Most people call them bots or spiders. People seem to stop listening when I say spiders. I call them the Google creepy crawlies. So the first thing when you set up your site and you're talking to your niche is that Google starts to crawl the site. And it is doing this so it can see what your website is about. It's basically reading it so it can figure out who you are. The next is indexing. Most people don't know that you actually have to index your website with Google. You have to tell it it's there to trigger the little bots. You also have to register your website with Google My Business and Google Maps in an effort to show up the best online. And once you do that, the creepy crawlies will start moving, reading your site, and in return, when it can tell that you are the therapist that serves children recovering from early adolescent childhood trauma, whatever.
That was specific. I liked it.
Thank you. You're going to be the one showing up in search results. You're not going to be showing up in search results if they don't know what your website is about. And then it goes into ranking. So once Google figures out what your website is, what searches to show your website up for, I'm losing my ability to speak. Anybody
okay?
specialize in that? So Google will determine when to show your website to what search results. That's why the more specific you are, the less competition you have. So we talked about using the right bait to land clients. This is very similar. On Google, if you are just a therapist in Nashville, you're competing against every other therapist in Nashville.
And maybe even the surrounding areas, because somebody in Franklin may just put Nashville therapist.
And it's even worse if you're telehealth and serving all of the United States. You're going to be washed out because you haven't
legal
built
boundaries.
up.
They have state boundaries.
So having that specificity, being specific, will help you beat out that competition and increase this time. Now, I want to be very clear. Putting up a website and indexing it may not have you showing up on page 1 right away. It actually takes Google a very long time to crawl and index your site. And I'm talking years, 1, 2, 3 years that you're showing up organically if you do nothing. So the point of having social media, email marketing, advertising, paid ads is to push traffic to your website to expedite that process. So it's a catch-22. If you don't have traffic going to your website, you're not going to show up. And you can't get traffic to your website, aka clients, if you're not showing up. So you got to make those efforts of pushing people from your social media or doing paid ads, at least in the beginning until you start ranking.
Yeah, so some things you can do to help with that are coming up with a very memorable URL. So if your URL is, you can use your name, but if your name is incredibly difficult to spell, you may want to think about something else. If it is, because people won't know how to spell it.
Or if it's too simple.
Or if it's too simple, like healingjourney.com.
Healingjourney.com.
Sorry, I think some of y'all work for the Healing Journey. I apologize. Anyways, before we keep going on to the next one, I know that Janessa had talked about how her website got taken and like stolen away from her. So I want to talk about that for just a second because it has become kind of more unheard of, but it's also still out there. So one thing that we had a client recently come to us is, I told you we do website auditing. She wanted us to audit her website. So we looked at her website, just a glance at it while we were on the phone, and it was almost immediate that we could tell she did not own her website. And what that means is she is a lovely person who made a mistake of going to an unverified marketing, I don't know, class, course, whatever, paid some money to do that, and they convinced those people to build their websites on suchandsuch.com. And what happened is they built her website and bought her URL like they did with Janessa, and then they own it. So she can make minor edits, but she cannot make major edits.
So this is a case where she had her website up for a couple years and was ranking very well on Google, but she wanted to make some major changes to her content and her ICA and niche, and we told her it would benefit her more if she stayed with the company and didn't make those changes over transferring her entire website, because she would lose that ranking. So while they ranked her and she got authority for her website, she lost the ability to make the changes that she wanted. So that's kind of...
And it's tricky. Like, she had no idea that she did not own her website. And the wording that she used and what they used with her, it was very confusing. So again, like what Jen has said, you want to trust and verify your sources. Even if that verification means you go on Facebook to a group and you type in, has anybody ever used this company? You just need to verify it, because if you don't own your website, it will come back to bite you at some point.
And Psychology Today that links into Monarch and everything says, I have a free website for simple practice or whatever. You don't own it. So be very careful, because now your copy, your content belongs to them, and you're building your branding on somebody else's site. You're giving them SEO, not yourself.
Right. The benefits being that they would manage and do all the work for you for a very, very low cost. The risk being that if you wanted it later or wanted more control over it, you lost it. So it's kind of a long-term contract kind of thing. Okay, so we talked about how you can just choose select platforms. I want to talk a little bit more about this. So Google, not only on your website, when you link out of your website and when you link between pages of your website, Google is looking for that spider web of links.
So when we talk about linking, we're talking about, like, you have a Psychology Today profile. We don't want you to put a button on your website that says Psychology Today profile. You can still do that. But at the bottom in your footer, you want to add the Psychology Today code that goes directly to your website. That's a good, a good external link that she's talking about.
Yes.
Sorry, keep going.
So register your site everywhere. Psychology Today, Therapy Den, LinkedIn, and the social media platforms if you have it. Most therapists seem to have an issue with Yelp because it's harder to control the reviews that people put on there. If you are comfortable and you have kind of a more solid business and client base, you might consider Yelp because it does show up high in Google search results, but you're looking at, especially in the beginning when you're waiting for Google to rank your website, you're looking at taking up as much space as that makes sense and as that you can maintain. You're also looking to build those links between each other. So Instagram should link to your website. Website should link to your resources and blog, LinkedIn. That makes sense? Yeah.
Okay, and then adding content to your website. So blogs were real popular a long time ago on certain blog platforms. We do still occasionally get some therapists who write blogs not on their website, and they want to link it to their website. Please don't do that. Just move them all over to your website. And then add a new blog on your website directly. Same thing with podcasts. If you're doing podcasts, great. Even if you're a guest on a podcast, try and get the RSS feed from them. They will know what that means, and you can put it directly on your website. And it just is more connections, more links. Resources. So that same company that did not have their location and they saw in-person clients on their website, they had a fantastic resources page. It needed to be prettified, but what they had were book links that they recommend linked to Amazon. So, I mean, if you want to have an Amazon storefront, you can, but that might be a little cringy, but just link it. They also had like podcast episodes that they liked or maybe that they had been on, and then they had, oh my gosh, I just lost it. They had something else on there, but they had this whole resource page with links, basically. So while you want to have a resource page that maybe has the suicide hotline, suicide prevention hotline, those kind of things, you also might benefit from things that you read a lot. It'll also give you more knowledge and that you're staying up to date with stuff.
Especially if you're linking to other websites that have the same topic you're talking about, Google will look at what you're talking about, what they're looking at, and figure out a little bit higher of how you should be showing up. Additionally, like your social media, when you add content consistently to your website, like a blog article once a month, you have more keywords and more content for the creepy crawlies to crawl around and expedite your
You're on
search
that one.
results.
I don't know what you want to do with that one.
YouTube, does everybody know that they're owned by Google? Okay, so YouTube is the second largest search engine below Google, which is interesting. Now, it's used in the exact, very similar to how Google is. Their search function is keywords. It looks at titles and the content of your captions for your video and helps your content show up online higher. So YouTube and Google are, if YouTube is a platform that makes sense for your business, you should get on it. You should be mindful of using keywords in the headlines, using location, and using hashtags on YouTube that show up. And then you should also link your website to all your YouTube content.
Google Ads. Okay, does anybody in here pay for Google Ads?
Yes,
Okay.
How's it going?
How's it going?
fabulous.
Cool. So Google Ads, like we talked about, SEO is a long game. Google Ads is a way to pay to show up on the first page for something specific. So if you want to show up when people search for CEUs on a cruise, then
DUI school.
DUI school, thank you. You can pick specifically the location that you show up at, and you can also show it specifically for clients looking for search results. The key is, again, to be very specific with your ads so that you show up in front of the correct people without paying a lot of money. It's the same thing with your website. You don't want to compete against everybody paying for ads because that's going to cost you a lot. So by narrowing it down to little.
Well, and
little
if you know that you need to do Google Ads and you need help, like we can help you, but there's also other people out there that can help. So just, again, like follow somebody that you trust or have verified to maybe they have a course, maybe they have a $25 course, and it's just talking about how to make your Google ad better.
Is a click-through rate of 8.8%, is that good?
Actually, anything over 3% is good.
Look at you do!
66 clicks.
What's the conversion rate?
The cost per inquiry was $48.
Are you getting phone calls?
9 inquiries.
$48 per messaging?
It's 266 clicks, click-through rate 8.8%, 9 inquiries, resulting in a cost per inquiry of $48.
If the money you're bringing in from your Google ads exceeds what you're paying for the Google ads, it's a successful campaign. I know that's a cheesy answer, but if the business you are bringing in is bringing you more money than what you're spending, it's worth it. Now again, Google ads, just like Google, takes a while to warm up. It also takes some experimenting, and it's hard to experiment on Google ads because every time you make a change to ad copy, the creepy crawlies will start over and it will reset your entire campaign to show up in search results. So you want to try to get it as clean and clear at the beginning as you can, let it run for 3 months, and judge results before making changes.
Okay, here we go, moving
But
on.
yeah, if you're getting the business that you want, then 48 per conversion rate. If it's getting you $200 clients, that's pretty good rate.
All right, before we lose you, because Google can be very exhausting and tiring. What questions do you have?
That's a picture.
That's us, yes.
But who's behind you?
Me, that's Jennifer, me, and that's Melissa. One of our Melissas.
Can you talk more about the batch content process?
The what?
The batch content process.
That's you. Okay, so batch content creating, I highly...
Companies. Like you could, like if she does it on a, one day a month while she's getting her hair done, you know, the companies that you use.
Oh, yeah. So, yes, that would be a great time to do it while you're sitting and getting your hair done, because that's a long process for a lot of us. I just cut mine off, so it's not as long of a process. But you're looking at working in Canva. You're coming up with your ideas. Maybe you have your running list on your phone, like I talked about, and then you're kind of making them pretty. But I don't just mean picking a template out of Canva and calling it good. You want to have branded colors. So if you don't have branded colors, this goes back to your original branding that you have hopefully done before you get to, I have a website that is just a bunch of colors and pretty pictures. You want to have intentionality. So maybe you chose like green and blue because they're very common, serene. So then your social media batch creation that you're making will be blue and green and white and like pretty, but it needs to stay the same. So you look like you're on the same, you're the same business across all platforms. So you're going to sit in the hair salon and you're going to make those. Let's say you have 8 posts. So you have a quote, you have
2 posts per week is 8 posts. It's not that bad, guys.
Yeah.
So,
I don't recommend doing Canva on your phone. It's very difficult. It's a very small screen. Use an iPad. That iPad is rather large. You can go smaller, or you can use it on a computer. I prefer computer, but it's when you have the time and what device you can use it on.
and the scheduler we use the most is Buffer, which up to 3 platforms is free, and you can plan out up to 10 posts before you have to load it up.
The paid ones. So like if you're wanting to be on 5 platforms, you can use Social Pilot, Social Curator. Janessa uses Social Curator. We've tried almost all of them. Planoly is out there. I don't know if
is that how you say it?
I don't know if Hootsuite is still around. Honestly, nobody uses it.
No, it's huge.
Okay.
Yes,
It's very expensive.
It's a huge CRM for multi-level companies. Like you as a private practice or individual do not need.
So I would look at Buffer for your first 3. If you're going to go to 4, honestly, I think Social Pilot is the best bang for your buck because they don't charge you per channel. Buffer will charge you per channel to go up to their paid. So it looks like you're paying $9, but you're paying $9 per account, which adds up really quickly per month. So yeah, that's batch. Oh, and then you'll put it into Buffer and you'll set your times. If you are going to use Buffer, make sure that you are setting your time zones appropriately.
That's a great question. Depends on your niche and your ICA. So if you are an anxious mother scrolling Instagram, you're posting at 2 a.m. because that's when you wake up. If you are a Gen Zer who is apparently going to clubs at 5 a.m.
That's disgusting.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you do that. Most people, when they're trying to post consistently and regularly, do between 12 and 3, which are high times across the board for social media. So is 9 to 10.
You can also look
9
at
to 10 morning.
Think any time before or after a commute, when you wake up, when you get to a location, and lunch break. Those are the most consistent times.
and when people start to have that dip in their afternoon.
But if you did want to get extra, you would do research into who you're trying to talk to, and that's where you would show up and when you would show up.
Yep.
Oh, interestingly, so we have some clients in the music industry that we found out that their best posting time was between 12 a.m. and 2 a.m. because nobody was releasing music at that time. People were releasing between 5 and 10 p.m. So even though there was less people on at the time, there was nobody else that they had to compete against. So that was very interesting.
Smart.
Other questions?
What do you guys think about Facebook ads?
They're difficult. They're very difficult, and they can cost you a lot of money if you don't do them right. If you are going to look at doing Facebook ads, you will want to create a specific post that is going to be your ad, maybe a couple. And then boosting is not the best. You want to, honestly, I would take some sort of course on it if you really think that you want to benefit from Facebook ads. I would work more on Google if it were me.
Why Google over Facebook?
Visibility for your ranking, and it also heightens up all your other platforms. So it crosses off more birds with one stone. I mixed that up there.
Yeah.
It gives you greater reach with your money. So it'll increase your Google, your social platforms, and it'll increase your Google ranking over the long haul. Whereas with Facebook ads, you might show up to a tighter group of people, it might be more expensive. I have heard that with Facebook ads, the best thing that you can do is set up a landing page on your website that has a very specific offer with a time limit. So 50% off your first service. I'm making this up. If you come in now, 3 spots limited. Yeah, in your field, you'll have to avoid language like specific drug names and services and stuff you've probably already
again,
realized.
in our professional opinion, don't waste a ton of money on your Facebook ads. Work more on your Google ads because the algorithm for Facebook changes so constantly.
All the time.
You never know what it's going to do. And DJ back there is validating everything I'm saying. So if you have more questions,
If you did it on Google, you could, if you did it on Google and you had your Google attached to your social medias, it's actually a double win, it sounds like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can also link your YouTube ads and short video promos with the same Google Ads account.
the other thing to remember about Google is it does match you up to, if you put $300 in.
I think in the beginning, depending.
500, but only when you first start ads.
Yeah, so if you haven't started Google ads, and they'll give you a $500 credit if you match them up to 500, which is $1,000 in ad
Clients
budget.
by doing Facebook ads in groups, because they have certain days where you can promote your small business depending on the group. You know, some of them are Wednesday or small business days, or Friday. Or
Are you in the
Monday.
Nashville Moms group?
And then, you know, go right to that group. And then I've had people contact me on that.
Yes.
I will
That's
say
true.
conversion rates for Facebook ads are harder too.
Within a group, it's a little better because you have people that may be asking specific questions. Again, you've done your research and you've joined a group that may be relevant to your ICA or people you want to see. So those people are going to be more interested already off the bat than what you have to offer.
The reason when you set up Facebook ads that it tells you the number of the audience that you're reaching, and you're trying to hit over 300,000 that you can reach, is because the conversion rate on the ads is 13% of those 300,000 will go to your website, but only 13% of those people will contact you. So it's giving you a big number because the rate is small. But again, the measure of that is if your campaign is successful, is if you're getting more money than what you're paying. And that takes time and it takes experimenting.
I haven't paid anything, and I got a client out of it. So.
Yeah.
There you go. All right. What
it
other
the same.
questions do you guys have?
A Facebook group.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, we'll be around if you guys have questions that come up later. Again, our cards are in the little binders, our email.
Talk about your
They're on the
social
pen.
media and your website packages.
We can. Do you guys want to know about our website and social media packages? Okay. So we have made them kind of specific to therapists. Actually, our website's prices are about to go up, and I know that that's a very annoying marketing sales thing, but they really are because we do offer low packages. We do need to bump them up to accommodate inflation, but it's a good time to look at them. We offer single page websites. If that's something that you're interested, we can show you an example of that. Basically, everything is one scrolling homepage. And then we offer bigger pages depending on how many services you want to break out. And then the biggest package offers blog and like if you have a podcast or something like that, we can add that in.
Yeah, usually when you're starting a private practice or your own personal website, you start with a scrolling homepage, link it to your Psychology Today, and that's kind of where you start. And then as you get more clients and more resources, you would build it up higher. But group practices and bigger companies may need more pages broken out. It just kind of all depends on your goals.
When you're starting off is a scrolling simple because it has the basic information that you need and it gives you the social media presence that you need and start building up your SEO and your ranking. So that's one of the things to invest in, but it doesn't have to be crazy. Just have something that's good and then go from there.
Yeah, and then social media, what we offer, we have 4 packages. We have a very small, what we call the mini package, and that's 2 posts a week, and we create the posts. You get to see them, you get to approve them. You can either write copy if you want. We write the copy and you can edit it, and then it goes out on your behalf on what?
So I'm going to slow that down.
Oh,
So
sorry.
they do everything for you. They pick the pictures, they write the words, they put it together, they put it neatly in a little package, and they say, hey, your information's ready to go. Go check it out. Looks good. I like this change. I don't like this change. Then when you approve it, that's all you're doing. They pick the pictures, they write the words, you approve